High school football season is here, and Sports on Tap has you covered all season long with in-depth coverage and analysis. You won't want to miss our special football shows each Monday of the high school season from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Catch recaps of all the games, interviews with local players and coaches, and hear if your team is playing in the game of the week. For the best high school football coverage, turn to Sports on Tap. Every Monday from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network.
And welcome to Sports on Tap. It's our Ohio High School football coverage live on Mixlr every Monday night at 7:30. Want to thank you all for joining us live from Studio J in Brunswick, Ohio. I'm Rob Troutman. We have Josh Jeffy, Ed Dick. Sean Duffy is on assignment this Monday evening.
Yes.
Josh, welcome.
Welcome, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing good. We had an exciting night this last Friday of our game of the week, and I tell you what, we've been picking them.
Pick some good ones.
I hate to brag, but we've been pretty right on. It was
hate to brag, but we're going to.
Exactly. It was Brecksville and Nordonia, and we'll get into our game of the week from last week. We'll go over a recap of that for Week 6, and also cover our game of the week looking ahead. We'll talk about the Greater Cleveland Conference, Southwestern Conference, and the Suburban League American and National divisions coming up. But right now, Josh, the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Medina Bees has been a team that's been pretty hot in the Greater Cleveland Conference. Did they continue their winning ways in Week 6?
Yes, you are exactly right, Rob. The Medina Bees so far this season going into Week 6, undefeated on the year, and they remained undefeated through Week 6 as they had a victory over the Brunswick Blue Devils, 41-7. Spoiling Brunswick's homecoming. Medina improves to 6-0 on the year, 3-0 in the GCC. Brunswick drops to 1-5. They are 0-3 in the conference. Medina was led by his first start of the career, Gavin Montgomery at quarterback, as John Curtis out for the year with a broken wrist. But in Gavin Montgomery's first start, he went 16 of 23 for 244 yards and 4 touchdowns. It's easy to be the quarterback when you have a running back like Jimmy Daw behind you. He led the way for the Bees on the running game with 18 carries, 187 yards. He did have 5 receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown. Other touchdown receptions go to Dylan Fultz. He had 1 reception and 1 receiving touchdown, and Alex Whitaker had 2 receiving touchdowns. Brunswick actually took a 7-0 lead with a 14-yard run by Jake Vadini, but those were the only points of the game. This is a struggle for Brunswick after that. They pretty much just were one-dimensional on the offensive end, only managing 34 yards passing on 11 attempts throughout the whole game. So it was pretty much all Medina, again, as they improved to a conference-leading 6-0, 3-0 in the conference on this year. Moving on to our next game in the GCC, this was a pretty emotional one. The Euclid Panthers and the Strongsville Mustangs, both teams observed a moment of silence before the game for fallen Euclid Panther Andre Jackson. And this game was all Euclid. Pretty much nothing much to say as they improved to 4-2 on the year, 2-1 in conference with a 41-0 victory over the Strongsville Mustangs. Strongsville drops to 1-5 on the season. They are 0-3 in the conference. Euclid led this game at 21-0 at the half, and again, this was pretty much all Euclid. Some highlights for the Panthers is Arquan Bush in this game had to return a interception and a punt return for touchdowns. So that was pretty much it for this game as Euclid defeated Strongsville once again 41-0. Now, in a surprise game, Shaker Heights with a 36-26 victory over the Elyria Pioneers in overtime. That's Shaker Heights' second conference win of the season. They improved to 4-2 overall, 2-1 in the conference. Elyria drops to 3-3. 1-2 in the conference. Shaker Heights was led by quarterback Jameer Dukes. He is an MVP candidate this week. 17 of 24, 280 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. He also added 111 rushing yards. Shaker Heights, Jameer Demukes led Shaker Heights to the game-tying drive with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Did all that with 0 timeouts on the clock, and that led to eventual overtime. Some other key stats for Shaker Heights: wide receiver Terrence Colvin really helped out Jameer Demukes with 9 receptions, 133 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Elyria had a lot going on the running game. Chris Atkinson, the 6'2", 205-pounder, 21 rushing attempts for 155 yards and 4 touchdowns. However, that was not enough, as once again Shaker Heights gets back on the winning track again, and they improved to 4-2, 2-1 in the conference. Again, Shaker Heights last year, we say it each week, did not have a conference win last year. This year they already have 2, so this was a big win for their program. In my spotlight game, I had Solon taking on Menor, and this one was all Solon as they defeat the Cardinals 37-8. Solon is tied for the conference lead at 3-0. Overall, they are 5-1. Menor drops to 1-2 in the conference. They are 2-4 overall. Solon was pretty much defense and running this whole game. As a team, they rushed the ball 43 times for 387 yards. Most of that came from running back Thomas Wilkes, as he had 178 of those yards and a touchdown. Now, I mentioned the defense. They kept junior quarterback Tadas Tanarunas 16 of 34 for only 154 yards passing. He only had 1 touchdown but 4 interceptions. He had 108 yards in the first half. So he had very little in the second half. The only score by the Cardinals was by wide receiver Manning Trubisky. He had the touchdown catch. The schedule looking like for next week, or I should say this coming week, Menor will play at Medina. Solon travels to Strongsville. Euclid at Elyria, and Brunswick will play Shaker Heights. My MVP for the week is Shaker Heights quarterback Jameer Demukes. Again, 17 of 24, 280 yards passing with 5 touchdowns. And he also added 111 rushing yards in a overtime victory over Elyria. My spotlight game going into Week 7 will be Shaker Heights as they host the Brunswick Blue Devils. I want to see how Shaker Heights can see if they can continue their winning ways. They are really close to a playoff spot. Looking at the Joe Itel rankings, again, these are unofficial but official rankings. In Region 1, Division 1, for the GCC, Solon is at number 5. Euclid is at number 7. Shaker Heights, on the outside looking in, they are number 10, and rounding out Region 1 in the GCC is Menor, and they are number 12, according to Joe Itel. In Region 2, that is led by the Medina Bees. They are number 4 in the region. Elyria is number 8, so those 2 teams would be in the playoffs if they were to start today. Brunswick is number 12, and Strongsville is tied for 14th. So, guys, you have to be impressed what Shaker Heights is doing. That was a really big victory for their program, and led by junior quarterback Jameer Demukes.
Now, wasn't Shaker trailing a lot in that game? And I thought they had a comeback and, that sent that into overtime, which was impressive. And like you said, going from no wins last year to winning some games, I think their confidence is on another level. But it starts at the quarterback position. He's the leader of the team. As he goes, that's how the team goes in. Demukes has done a nice job with that team. Happy for them because, they're obviously believing in that offensive system. They're putting up some points and getting some really solid wins. And they'll face a tough Brunswick team. I mean, Brunswick, they're still a really tough team going through some things now, with the offense and defense. But overall, that should be a really good game. So, let's see what happens there. But give Shaker Heights credit. They're having a really nice year right now.
Yeah, and this game against Brunswick is another reason why I call my spotlight game, because it's an important game for them to get a victory for them. Because their final 3 games are at Medina, at Solon, and then they host Euclid, which is not an easy end of the schedule.
That's huge.
And if they have aspirations of being a playoff team, they're going to have to get those wins, every win possible. And
you'll get a lot of points if you can pull
at
least 1 or 2 of those wins
and
out.
This Brunswick game is a very winnable game for them, the way that Brunswick is struggling this year. So, it's an important game. So I want to see how they come out and during this next game.
Yeah, I mean they got Medina, Solon, and Euclid. They have 15 wins between them between all three programs right now, and Medina is currently 6-0 going next week into their matchup against Mentor. Mentor's 2-4. That's a very deceptive 2-4. I mean, because we all know the schedule that Mentor plays, and they're just not winning those games that we're used to seeing them win.
Right.
They're probably one of the more dangerous 2-4 teams in the state of Ohio, as far as I'm concerned.
I guess we're just not seeing Mentor losing like they are. I guess you're not used to seeing them lose 38-7.
Well, and I'm a little bit surprised they might have lost. I mean, Shaker Heights is a really good team, but
they smoked Shaker Heights.
Yeah, they beat Shaker Heights 41-0. But we're not used to seeing them lose games like they did to Solon, 37-8.
Yeah,
exactly.
They had a tough game against Euclid where they lost by 10, 47-37, and it just doesn't seem to be clicking on all cylinders for Tadas Tatarunas. He had a very promising sophomore year. And he's kind of going through a junior slump, if there is one. He just doesn't seem to be putting up the numbers like he did. Maybe the fact that their big running game from last year maybe isn't all there. Isaiah Golick, though, is a good runner, but just not to the caliber. Maybe up how it was last year. That is yet to be seen. But Mentor is a truly tested team. They're going to come back their final 3 games after Medina, Strongsville, Brunswick, Elyria. So those are an opportunity for them to possibly get on track and try to sneak into the playoffs. It will be difficult, though, for them sitting number 12 in Region 1 right now.
And the problem is, I mean, Strongsville and Brunswick have 2 wins right now. And, those could be good victories for them, but they're just not going to get many second-level points. And that's what's ultimately going to come down to for a team like Mentor is getting those second-level points. That's what makes this game against Medina that much more important for Mentor. If they can take down a 6-win Medina team,
that's huge.
That'll help them out a little bit. I'm not sure it's going to be enough to get them over the hump. If Elyria could get a couple more victories going into that matchup, but even if you look at that matchup, Elyria beat them last year to get to the playoffs. So that's not a gimme. Some of these games that we're used to seeing Mentor as gimmies are not this year. I mean, they've had a very. I mean, you look at their schedule. They played Massillon, Washington. We're obviously very familiar with them. St. Ignatius and St. X, and they had St. X on the ropes. I mean, they had a chance to win that game, and one or two of those games go the other way, and Mentor's right outside of a playoff spot. They're looking pretty damn good. Shaker Heights, like you said, they have a great coach in Jarvis Gibson. He led the old Cleveland South team and a now defunct school from the Senate League to the playoffs in their last season when they had Devontae Painter as a quarterback, and so he's used to coaching in that area, and he's got a great rapport with the kids, and if they could find a way to get over to get some other victories on their own, and like you guys said, I mean Brunswick's not despite the score of the Medina game. Obviously, I was there firsthand. It wasn't as, and I say this and people might think it's crazy. It wasn't a 41-7.
Right.
It wasn't that bad. Brunswick obviously had a lot of mistakes, a lot of self-inflicted wounds, if you will. And Medina is good. I mean, they've proven a little bit to me that they do have some horses on their team. I mean, Jimmy Dahl, my God, that dude's not small and he is not slow. Like he runs like a gazelle, and you see him. He's bigger than the whole damn line, like taller. He's almost as big as the line. I mean, they got some big hogs up there. You see him with the ball, he just cruises. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even look like he's trying.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for a penalty on the very last play of the first half, we were in prevent defense. We had 5 guys in the end zone. He ran the ball like 70 yards for a touchdown, untouched.
And I think he's been doing that a lot, it seems like, this season. I mean, I think he's had 5 touchdown games, hasn't he?
Well, you know what? They do a great job of finding ways to get him in space. He scored on a screen pass against us, and it was perfectly set up. And I mean, you couldn't have drawn up any better. Right. But so Medina's gonna. I'm looking to see how Medina finishes their year with the tough schedule that they're going to be coming up against here.
And. As for Strongsville, they only have 1 win, but I saw that Coach Laird, said they're a really young team that's they're going through some things right now. They have a lot of sophomores and juniors that are trying to figure out where they fit in and, figuring out the game plan. So they're going through, a little bump in the road. When you're that young, you're going to figure some things out, and this is more of a season to learn and to not try and make those mistakes again. So we'll see how they bounce back as well. But, GCC still rolls on. Great job, Josh, on Week 6.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that very much.
All right, we'll step away, take a short break. When we come back, we're going to dive into Week 6 in the Southwestern Conference. And some pretty big games. Had my spotlight game that was impressive. The Avon Eagles continue to win in the Southwestern Conference. We'll go over them and much more when we come back. It's our Ohio high school football coverage. It's our Week 6 recaps. All coming back. We're Sports on Tap, part of the NEO Sports Insiders Network.